Hello then, a very warm welcome. You're watching this match preview on cricket.com with me, Apiece, South Africa versus India from Paarl. And as you can see, I have the lovely Gurkirat and Nikhil Popa with us. And there's going to be some big breaking news before the toss because, Rajat Patidar is all set to make his ODI debut. So let's see who he comes in for. And let's see if India wins this ODI series decider. Before I go further with questions and taking comments as usual, of course, let's introduce our guest. Nikhil, how are you on this Thursday afternoon, my friend? Plenty of cricket, I'm guessing?
Yeah, plenty of cricket. BBL is going on, women's test is going on. More the merrier. What else we here for?
That is true. I mean, there's the women's test, like he said. There's, of course, the BBL going on. And I don't know if you heard Tom Curran, the latest RCB player, of course, getting a 4-match ban. So it just gets bad to worse or whatever you want to make of it. Let us know in the comments. Gurkirat, how are you? Pre-Christmas vibes, dressed in black. Are you going out anywhere after?
No, only working. Just felt like actually I had my black turban tied from yesterday, so I was like, might as well wear something black to go along with it. So just that. But the work is slow. You just sort of get lazy around this time in North India, especially with the winters and the weather. You really don't want to get out of the quilt or whatever you're taking, and you just want to have a hot cup of tea right throughout the day. So it's been that kind of a weather in Delhi here.
Okay, interesting. Let's, of course, bring you the updates from Paarl, which is, of course, hosting this third one international. The toss will be upon us in just a bit. We'll give you the confirmation of the teams as well. But in terms of weather, no problem whatsoever. 36 degrees out there in South Africa. So we're expecting a full game and hopefully a good game because the first two ODIs haven't really lived up to the billing. Guys, I want to ask you about so many things in this match preview, such as even your favorite Boland Park memories from an Indian fan, because I was going through it and there's a whole host of them. But first and foremost, Rajat Patidar, he's just played 12 IPL games, Knicks, and he gets an India nod. It's inevitable, some quarters would say. How would you see it?
Hard to put a long picture to it. As long as he's getting the long run, I'm more than happy in that regard. As you said, very keen to see who he comes in for and what is the slot that he's batting for because Shreyas has played one game and he's gone for the test preparation. So there will be some change today as well in terms of who's batting where. So very keen to see again. He's a prospect that we've all wanted to see for some time now. So as you say, it was coming, but I just want consistent run. This is the time to give people consistent run at one spot and then see how they do and then take a call because just 2 3 games here and there will not benefit anyone, not the team or the player. So hopefully that is not the case with Rajat. Shabash, well done. You have filled in for Paji already.
I don't know what happens, man. I've literally this stupid mute thing, like with so many distractions going around. That's the reason I think I've let you guys down off late with me talking on mute. The toss is going to be upon us. We'll tell you the breaking bits in just a moment because the pocket is, of course, Aiden Markram. And does he win the toss?
Yeah.
He wins the toss. So they choose to bowl, I'm guessing, but I can only speculate right now. So we'll give you that verdict in just a bit. I want to ask Gurkirat about a man who's not got a consistent run in India in any format, Sanju Samson. He didn't bat the first game. He didn't bat long enough in the second game. The third game, only time will tell. Hopefully, Rajat Patidar doesn't come in for Sanju Samson because they've given him that finisher's role. And it makes you think a little bit about Samson, right, Gurkirat? Just the 16th ODI this will be in 8 years of ODI cricket. So talk about consistency and his run and long ropes.
Shabash.
Fair to him.
Shabash.
No, I'm not on mute.
Okay, he's there. No. So the
I'm
net
not
is
on
acting
mute.
up because
I think
the net is acting up. We could not hear it. Yeah.
So as I was saying, I think we've discussed this before that the management has not been very fair to him in terms of giving him chances, and you felt that even with the previous management in T20s. Hopefully, they can just figure out a role for him and then have the conviction to stay with him. I think what is happening is that probably the conviction is missing, but because he's able to do something in the few sporadic chances he gets, they don't want to drop him either. So he's carried along in the 15, but they never have really conviction where to play him and what kind of a role to give him in the 11. So there is that. I just hope there's clarity with his spot, and him going out will not help really. Now Patidar has come in, happy for him, but like Nikhil was saying, uh, you'd want to ensure that he gets chances as well, because one odd games. Because what happened with Ruturaj early on was that he had played three ODIs, and all three of those ODIs came one after the other after a very long time. They were not consistent chances, so that doesn't help. So let's see who's Patidar replacing in the 11.
Yeah, South Africa have won the toss and opted to bowl, as you can see in the ticker below. Keep your comments coming through. Good to see all of you guys join us right now. I know it's a Thursday afternoon. You guys might be watching this slightly later, but this is just a prelude to the South Africa versus India final one-day international before. We can't wait for the test start in 5 days' time. Sai Bhargava saying, off-topic question, just out of curiosity and hype here in Hyderabad, are you guys going to watch Salar tomorrow? I don't have that in my schedule, but I don't know. I might check it out once it's in Netflix. I wouldn't go for a movie these days, but our office is giving us tickets for Shah Rukh's latest release because he's our brand ambassador. So I might go for Donkey if I do have the time. I'm looking forward to that because I saw Animal, and of course we won't let that be a movie review right now. Shivam Sethi, looking at the West Indies England series, the amount of runs being scored seems like India will have a difficult chance in the WT20, irrespective of the side we play. We'll get into all those later miscellaneous questions, Shivam, in a bit. But yeah, the West Indies England series, 108 sixes already, and I think there's another game which is today. When is the final T20 international? Today.
1:30.
Yeah,
It's
so
tomorrow, but yeah,
yeah,
later in
it's
the day
tomorrow.
today.
Beg your pardon. So we'll give you the particular teams in just a bit because the playing 11 for South Africa for starters, Risa Hendricks starts, so does Tony De Zorzi, who's been good to
Unchanged.
watch,
Yeah, they are
unchanged,
unchanged.
basically. Rassie van der Dusen, remember, got that 129 at the same venue the last time India
Yeah.
toured here, and it makes you think that Indian team compared to this one, there was still Dhawan, Bhuvi, there was Chahal, Ashwin, Shardul, Kohli played as well. So a whole host of changes this time around. We're still all trying to peer to our screens because we're watching this on mute to get the confirmation of India's 11. Next, do we have any word?
Yeah, I'm
Two changes.
looking at
Two changes
this.
for him.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so two changes. Sanju
Gaikwad out
Samson
for
has been
Patidar.
slotted as opener. I don't know how that's going to play out. I mean, so it's Sai, Sanju, Rajat, Tilak, KL, Rinku, Washi, Akhtar, Arshdeep, Avesh, Mukesh. I mean,
Kuldeep is not playing.
even though
and
it's,
Sundar is playing.
yeah, I mean, even though it's kind of a really weird batting order, I like it. I like the names there for different reasons, of course. Sai Sudarshan keeps his spot, understandably so. He's been looking really good. Rajat Patidar, we know what he's made of, but Gukira, just coming back to him, a player like him, what would you expect him to do? Bat at number one? I mean, one down essentially.
Yeah, feels like that would be the role, either 3 or 4, because there's Tilak as well, and like I said earlier, I don't think there's a huge difference between batting 3 and 4. You could keep it situation dependent, because it could also be that you want to maintain a left hand right hand combination. You can try and do that, but what I'd be expecting from him is to play, not come with any preconceived notions that this is how I want to bat. ODI cricket has a lot of time. If there is help, just take your time and then bat normally, because he has decent enough numbers as a list A batter. He's not just a dasher what we saw, in 2022 IPL for Bangalore. He's done decently, should back his strengths, and can probably take a leaf out of Sai Sudarshan's book, who's played his shots, but at the same time respected the conditions while doing it.
Can you think of anyone, boys, who's just played a dozen IPL games and already been fast tracked to India?
Venkatesh Iyer, I think half a season, not
Yeah.
even full season, 8 9 games.
And even
And
I
Venki
don't
had
know
in
how many
fact
games.
played the last time India played in Paarl, I think. He was there in that setup as
Yeah,
well.
yeah. He
Yeah.
was. He was.
Yeah,
So
next.
Paarl is a venue where you do random things, because this is as random as it gets in terms of batting order also. Again, this is probably the one time where I feel as disattached or as far from the management in terms of what they're trying to do. Usually you have some sense that okay, this is where they're going with this. At this point of time, it looks completely something that they are very sure of. Okay, okay, we want to do this, but from the outside, you can make zero sense of this. That everybody's getting 1 or 2 games, and they are making changes, and the changes are so different that if Samson is opening, I don't know
Yeah.
what's the plan there. I don't know who it helps and how it helps. Maybe they want to see Patidar and they want to him see him at a particular spot. Good
So
luck
I
to
just
you.
want to
That's
ask
all
you
that I
then,
can
Nick,
say.
because all you guys, of course, joining us right now, the latest news from Paarl is that India batting first. The question is, who's going to open with Sai Sudarshan? Is it Patidar? Is it Samson? Or will just KL take one for the team and be like, look, I'm the one who's actually, an auxiliary opener right now, even though I bat at 5. Do you think he'll take that brave call and bat with Sai Sudarshan up front? So then it'll be Patidar at 1, and then Tilak, and then Samson.
See, I don't think Rahul should bat in the top three. I think Rahul and Rinku are the two people I don't want them to bat in the top. That's very, very clear because I want them to settle down at that spot lower down the order. So it is between Rajat and Sanju. Again, I hope it is Rajat more than Sanju because Tilak batted at 3. So I think if you're giving somebody game time, ODIs is not a time where you can just be flexible and say, okay, bhai, just go there, do that. And again, just giving one game at one spot and then changing the spot the very next day, I don't know it helps how it helps you. So I wouldn't mind Sundar playing up the order. It's a very radical thing, but I don't know whether they are open to that idea. But if it happens, I don't mind that at all.
Gurkirat, what is your
It's
jigsaw puzzle for this one? How will you put all the pieces together?
it's something that I was also going to come up with, because I have felt that on the basis of eye test or the raw talent that you've seen from Sundar in test matches, that he has the technique to succeed as a proper batter across formats. I mean, you don't feel that this is a guy who cannot play swing bowling. We've seen him do well in test matches in conditions which are very diverse from each other. He's someone who can, leave the ball well, can get besides the line, and can play square of the wicket. So there is obvious talent to work with. Disappointing part is that it has not materialized into something so far. So I wouldn't have minded that either, because uh, if he does well as an opener, it also gives you confidence in him as a player who can be your first choice opener. But if I'm Sanju right now, I don't think this is the best way also to get the most out of Sanju, because I was just reading our preview today, which was done by Anirudh, that he's had an obvious weakness versus left arm pace. And South Africa have two left arm paces in Berger and Hendricks. So again, may not really work out well for him. But given his situation, it's like beggars can't be choosers. You still have to try and fit into the puzzle and do whatever maximum that you can do of what is being given to you.
Nick, I just want to ask you. I mean, obviously, this is going to be our last ODI for a while because I don't think we're playing Afghanistan in ODIs, are we? So,
No.
what is this opportunity mean for some of the players starting today? I mean, some of them are pretty much penciled in just the ODI format. I'm guessing Rajat Patidar is one of them. Sanju Samson is the other. Is it almost a big test for those two in particular in this format if they want to survive and sustain themselves?
Yeah, possibly this could just be a showdown that please keep us in the loop and let's not completely cut us out of the system. But again, as I said, it's one game too less. Maybe they are also not looking at it in from a sense that okay, we'll decide basis these games because I don't think this is enough sample space. It also at times makes me question what is the purpose of taking some of the guys there that you've taken UG Chahal there. What's the point? If Kuldeep was going to be rested, you'd assume that Chahal will be the guy who will play. But then you're giving the game time to Sundar. So why take Chahal? What's the point? You are just sending mixed signals to everybody involved. So, but again, it's just an Indian cricket thing. We just want to keep everybody happy. Hopefully, whenever they think about Champions Trophy next, maybe it's after the T20 World Cup. Maybe that's when we can start taking all of this seriously in terms of their selections.
Yeah, because sometimes it's just baffling. And for a T20 World Cup year, they'll pick a really strange ODI World Cup squad and vice versa. We know how it is. And Gurkirat, you can come in here as well.
I think with series like these, you can only go out of the reckoning. You can never completely come back into
Yeah.
the reckoning or stay in the reckoning, because you don't know like when the next series is going to happen, who's available from the main team, and what is the idea then, because the next ODI series will be happening what 6 or 7 months from now. So 6 or 7 months is a long time. You cannot be assured of what would happen 6 weeks from now. 6 7 months from now, you have absolutely zero clue. If it would be the same management, if it would be the same captain, which is why I said that for this series it would have been important had India just gone ahead and said that okay, KL Rahul is our first choice captain in ODIs, and then they could have set up the team with his choices and around him, and he could have tried those things as per his liking. So
But they've
with
not
these
even done
kind
it
of
for the T20 format. So what makes you think they'll do it for the ODI format?
वो तो of course that is something that we have criticized enough and we have spoken of enough, but should really reiterate why it's very difficult to draw any kind of conclusions from these series. You can
Yeah.
only go out of the reckoning. I don't think you can stay in the reckoning.
And a
So
case in point, Venki Iyer, Gurkhirat, comes to mind.
Venki Iyer actually wasn't bad, because after this series that happened in 2022, he also got to play the West Indies T20s and he did decently. It was just India realizing that okay, maybe his bowling is not up to the skill set, but it is a secondary skill set that has to be developed. It's not that Hardik came into the Indian team as a developed product. He learned on the job, as did so many cricketers. You look at MS Dhoni's keeping, or you look at Pant's keeping for that example. A lot of players are quick learners who learn on the job, but I don't think India just had enough patience in that regard, because 5 ODIs is what he played, and I think some around 7 to 10, maybe 10 T20s. So
Okay, interesting. By the way, all you guys watching this right now, give us a quick like and tell us how much you really give a fuck about the South Africa versus India game. Because I'll tell you what, there's one comment from Sportsman which is absolutely right. The Indian women's game, I've been watching it since the morning. Just how they've been able to make plans for certain Aussie batters. Maybe the slip catching and catching in general could improve, but Akshay Kumar Swamy will pick out all the bones of that in a review later in the day with, of course, some women's experts to just dissect the day one from Mumbai. And they're going swimmingly well, by the way. India, after bundling Australia out for 219, they're 47 for none in 7.1 overs. So, of course, catch the coverage on cricket.com in terms of the live blog and the review later for all you people joining us right now. More questions to come across, and we'll, of course, get them answered. Shubham Sharma, don't worry. Paji, please take question. Why in India cannot have good tall left arm fast bowler? South Africa, Australia, Pakistan just have too many and can play. Sorry to say, we have Unadkat, Arshdeep only who don't have high pace as well.
it's a little difficult question to answer, because it is not entirely your cricket system related. It's the
Hmm.
same thing that I keep going back to while doing this comparison. India struggle to find fast bowling all rounders, but the Sena countries struggle to find a spin bowling all rounder. It's because of the skills, the environment, the climate that you play in, which sort of dictates what kind of a cricketer you want to become. Uh,
Yeah.
the weather that you get in India, it's not conducive. Like fast bowling is anyway not conducive for human body. The weather in India makes it even more harder. And
Much.
then when you have to compete against so many, it's but logical that you try and go for a skill set that you think is easier to nail, which is
Hmm.
becoming a spin bowling all rounder. Even that, if you see, among spin bowling all rounders, you will see very few who are wrist spin bowling all rounders. It's mostly a finger spinning all rounder, because again, finger spin is a easier skill to master as compared to wrist spin. You can then focus on a secondary skill. So there is that. And as far as India not having a tall left arm fast bowler, uh, some of it is again down to genetics. The average Indian height is not the same as the average height that you will get in Sena countries. India did find someone like Mohsin, but he had injuries. Khalil's decently tall, but India, I thought, fast track him way too early when he was raw. Now is probably the time. If he's consistent, they can look at him. Unadkat and Arshdeep are tall, but again, not having a high pace is again, if you look at where Unadkat has played most of his career, right? It's on pitches and highways in Rajkot, in Saurashtra, where there is not much help. and you have to be far more skillful in terms of getting the ball to reverse, or making the old ball talk, or get something to do off the seam. So on that you need a lot more control than pace to probably have an effect. So it all just comes down to where have you played a lot of your cricket with. And Arshdeep in between, I thought in 21, 22 was touching 140. So with Arshdeep, there is still scope to work because of his age. Probably someone needs to look at his strength and conditioning, his diet, that he could work on it. But then there are also examples like Bhuvneshwar Kumar who will bring up their pace, but it shortens their career length because of the injuries that happen. So it's a very difficult balance to find, and you will never get a proper answer unless you are talking to someone who's associated with injuries related to the sport bodies, like what human bodies related to sport. We can only tell so much from a distance, and that is again basis on a lot of inferences that we have seen. Sometimes you also don't get the best or the correct information, so our inferences will also be not accurate.
Yeah, well answered. And I was just thinking about that similar question Shubham's thrown us, Nix, and you can jump in here as well. I mean, obviously, everyone would like to have every subtlety in cricket, right? A left armer, right armer, good pacer, mystery spinner, and all of that. You look at how India have been over the years across formats. They've had your RP Singhs, your Zahir Khans, your Irfan Pathans. Obviously, few haven't worked over the years. Talking about maybe someone like a Barinder Strun, for example. But even South Africa and Australia, before Stark, they're pretty much a right arm fast bowling arsenal, right? Sure, there are cases in point where Brendan Julian comes to mind, or South Africa for that matter, before Jansen. You look back to Sotsobe as a left arm real quick that they had in their battery, because they had Philander, Staines, Mockles, Rabadas right now, Nokias. So it's also a bit of luck. Pakistan have been genuinely talented to always have a left arm pacer, but even in that early 2000, late 2000 period, it was pretty much again Rana, Naveed, Umar, Gul, Sami. You didn't have that. I mean, I know you could, of course, state that giant of a man, 7'1" in what's his name again? Irfan Khan? No,
Mohammad Irfan.
Mohammad Irfan.
Mohammad
Mohammad
Irfan.
Irfan.
Mohammad Irfan. But yeah, it's a good question that Shubham asked. And let's see how the left armers do today. Not just one from India, but the two which are going to be running into bowl to the Indian batters very shortly. I'm talking about Andre Berger, who got the dig with Rajasthan Royals, and not to forget Buren Hendricks as well. More questions will be appreciated from all you lovely people watching right now, because we still have about 10 minutes in this preview. But before I take more questions, it's only right for me to ask the boys what their favorite memory from Paarl is, because I'll give you a few to just kind of refresh your memory. We talk about the 2003 World Cup for starters, India, Netherlands. I don't know if you guys remember that. Bats Deleed's dad played, Tim Deleed. He got 4 for. He got Sachin and Dravid out, but then Kumble and Srinath got 4 furs, and India ran away with a win. Then that tri-series, Kenya, South Africa, and India. I don't know if you guys were watching cricket back then, particularly Gurkirat. Do you remember that stand? Ganguly, Tendulkar, 258 for none against the Odoyo brothers and so on and so forth. You don't remember that series at all?
I think it happened before I started to watch cricket. It must have been 2000.
2001. So in the
2001,
Test series, it was a Sehwag's debut. So that's the time reference I'm drawing.
Number 6, yeah.
I wasn't watching them. I started to watch in 2003, and I remember there was some panic, among people who were watching cricket with me at that time. कि सिर्फ Netherlands के against 200 run कर रहे हैं, बाकी teams के against क्या होगा? Because I remember them getting to some 204, 205, and there was some panic amongst the people that cannot be scoring just that much against Netherlands.
Yeah, true. Nix, any moments from you? Boland Park, Paarl, India.
I remember South Africa and De Villiers 176. That is something, I mean, you can't forget.
Who did that come against?
I think that was Bangladesh, if I'm not wrong. It was Bangladesh 176 in 104. So that is where it actually felt that okay, they could potentially get a massive score there. They scored 353 for 6 in that 50 overs. So I mean, it's always good to watch cricket in South Africa. It's pity that it doesn't happen very often, which is very, very surprising.
That is true. Remember last time India did play 2 ODIs in Paarl. They lost both.
Yeah.
And one batting first, one chasing. They couldn't get over the line. And it wasn't exceeding 300. It was about 280, 290 totals, if I remember correctly. And just to finish up this Boland Park chat, if you guys look back at the archives, India did play the first ever ODI in this ground. It came against Zimbabwe, and it was a tied game. So go check out the scorecard. Some great names. Salil Ankola took part in that game. Our very own Sabah Kareem scored 38, and I think a certain Rahul Dravid ran and Andy Flower out. So how it's petered all over the years is quite ridiculous. Shaurya, Nick's just touched upon this as well. Very strange that Chahal has been taking part of this tour but not playing. It's obviously 75 players. That's the number we're getting in mind that India have taken to South Africa in this moment in time to play a lot of formats. Obviously, like the T20 series is concluded, ODI series is concluded, and the Test series is there as well. I mean, there's few, of course, playing and plying that trade is just net bowlers in that India A game, but you guys know if you know. I don't have sources for this, but I think left-handers also rarer than right-handers, and unlike with batting, it is nearly impossible for the right-hander to bowl left-handed. Going on to say Darshil. And Kushal asked, do players without central contracts get paid match fees in India? Can you shed light on that? Any feel?
I think they would be, but I'm not sure of the exact amount or how it works out in terms of whether it is pro rata or how it is. But I'm sure they get paid match fees. That is for sure.
Okay. Amit Dubey think is Gaikwad finger injury same as Avesh fever. Yeah, being cheeky. And Gurkira, take this one. On Gurkira's point on more finger spinner all-rounders and wrist spin all-rounders, could it be to do with playing multiple formats? Can't think of many wrist spinners who've thrived in tests lately, for example.
So it only complements the point that to play test matches, you need far more control. And, again, as a wrist spinner, if you want to develop control and play test matches, you really have to work on your skill a lot. And you cannot really, then look at other facets of your game. So, in fact, if you look at the history of test cricket, I don't think you will be able to find more than 5 wrist spinners who have had longer test career.
Yeah.
It's just that Shane Warne was so good that people are always talking about the idea of getting a wrist spinner in test matches. But how many teams do actually play wrist spinners? I mean, there's been Shane Warne, there's been Anil Kumble, and who else? I think we'll probably struggle to find a wrist spinner who's taken more than 300 test wickets apart from these two.
Yeah.
So
Unlikely.
200 I did not say because I felt that could be a short number, but 300, more than 300 has been difficult because then you look at the other set. There's Ashwin, there's Harbhajan, Lyon, Herath. Muralidharan's a wrist spinner, but he's an off spinner wrist spinner. Again, I don't think the kind of action and bowling that he does. I don't think anyone can look to copy it because he's probably the only one who bowls off spin with his wrist. So
Danish Canaria, 261 wickets.
Yeah, so like I said, 300 is
300. Yeah.
So it's difficult.
Good ballpark figure.
Fair enough. Good question there and well answered again from Gurkirat. Lots more comments pouring through in the last couple of minutes of this match preview. Remember, India, of course, going to be batting first. We're not doing watch-alongs for ODIs. That's just a T20 thing. And speaking of watch-alongs, go check out our IPL 2024 auction watch-along. It was absolutely mad. It was chaotic, to say the least. Tilak Varma and Mukesh are international standard team management. Give Tilak chance in Asia Cup. Sums up.
We are lucky. We are lucky that watch-along did not have a mishap.
Yeah, thankfully. Pranav Anand also going on to say, I think last game changed few things. They saw themselves collapse and they thought they needed batting depth. Plus, good for Washi. Want him to develop like we all thought he would. What are you expecting from Washington Sundar, Gurkirat, today, generally in this format? Be a 10-over bowler and give you 40 with the bat?
See, 40 is difficult if you are batting at number 7, number 8, because sometimes I liked how he did in that series. He bowled well, and I think in one of the innings he also had a good 50 coming down the order as a finisher. So he did well. I followed, and then he did bowl well decently in Bangladesh as well. He struggled with the pitches when it came to batting. So these are the kind of pitches where you feel that the extra pace and bounce could help him play those short square of the wicket. But let's see. I mean, it's one game. It's it could just take you 2-3 overs just to find out what the right length is. We have seen even bowlers who have been playing regularly for India struggle to find that exact line and length for the pitch. So someone who's who's not played for so long, you think that they'll at least take 2 to 3 overs to get into rhythm, and from there on, then see how they bowl.
I think India will be, again, going with just 5 bowlers, even though they have Tilak in their armory, right? I don't think there's going to be that much of distribution with the ball in hand. I would like to see it, but I don't think that'll happen. Our cricket talkies, thank you so much. Really hope you guys enjoyed it. We tried to make it as enjoyable as it could, and it was just us honestly pouring our hearts out as fans. Tom Curran being handed a 4-match ban, we saw that, and it's quite crazy. Varun, appreciate your comment in this afternoon show. Imam should be giving advice to Arshdeep to have more protein than carbs, saying Jagmeet Singh Oberoi. Well done. And lastly, Shaurya asks us, Nikhil, do you think Tilak should be given chances from the next ODI series, whenever that is?
Too early to say. Let's just wait because there is so much happening, and if they're not going to use him with the ball, it makes no sense. It makes no sense to have him when you have Rinku, who you feel might be a better guy suited at that spot. So again, it depends on which spot you're looking at as an option. And if Rinku continues to come good down the order with Sundar, then I would rather have those two in that spot in the 5-6 spot as opposed to Tilak Verma if he is not getting to bowl.
Okay. I look at that Indian batting lineup, Gurkirat, and it gives you plenty of confidence that they can get 300, you feel, minimum on a dry deck in Paarl, which is kind of conducive, beg your pardon, to pacers. How much do you think they will get, given that Akshar is pretty much slotted at 8? So do you reckon 320, 330 if they really go gung-ho from the start?
You'd hope so, but in recent experiences, we have found out that yeah, I'm still there. So you don't know, but yeah, anything more than 300 plus.
Okay, interesting. 280 at max, saying Shaurya. And Rajat opening the innings, do you think it's a good idea? Personally, we all wanted to see him one down, but let's see how that materializes. As long as he's got an opportunity, let him take it with both hands. Nix, do you agree with our Cricket Talkies? 285 to 300 is what he thinks. What do you think?
Yeah, it will be a good score to have on a dry deck, and if it does something on the lights, then it could be a score that you could defend also. So wouldn't mind it, and it'll take some batting from these two. So hopefully, a Rajat turn on debut to just make it better for all of us.
Okay, indeed. Rajat Patidar makes his debut, one-day international debut for India, and he opens the batting with Sai Sudarshan, who's also been showing why he's, of course, a talent to reckon with. We'll bring you all the coverage on cricket.com in terms of the live blog, not just of this India match, but the Indian women's test match going on as well. Check out the review with regards to Akshay and Neha and the other cricket expert we have later this evening, picking out all the things you want to see in that women's test. But join Gurkirat, Nikhil, and me later. And I say later, after the match, we'll, of course, dissect this. We'll look ahead to the test series and take your questions in a Thursday night review. Until then, it's a goodbye from us. And stay safe and stay warm because it's Christmas. And just be happy and watch cricket.com for everything you need to know about the game we love. Cheers. Thanks for joining us. And a
Yes.
goodbye from us.
Chakle.